Hey guys, Snupy here. So as we all know, 9.1 is finally out, which means we're going to be making new guides for both Necrolord and Knife for Eldritch PP. Starting off, we're going to cover Knife now. And with the new legendary, Celestial Spirits, the playstyle, the talent choice, and quite a few things have changed for Knife of Eldritch. So in this video, I'm going to be covering everything from talents, soulbinds, conduits, to like rotation and opener. And then some more tips and tricks. So yeah, let's dive into the video. Alright, starting off, we're going to talk about talent choice for Knife of Eldritch. So on the first row, we got Sabertooth. This is definitely by far the best one for Knife. As Necrolord, play Lunar, but Knife is very bite-oriented, so Sabertooth is definitely the move here. Even though like the second part for like bleed duration isn't really like that huge anymore. It got hard nerfed since BFA, but it's still really nice just for the bite damage and also the small rip increase of the duration. On row 2, we have Tiger Dash, Renewal, and Wild Charge. On this row, Wild Charge is pretty much always the move. The mobility is super good for engaging and also like getting away from enemies. Renewal can be nice sometimes, but pretty much all the time we're going to play Wild Charge. On the 30 row now, this row is quite interesting this season as people have the Shackle Trigger now, which is like a Maledict. And this cast can be stopped by Guardian by using Incap Roar. You can also use your remove corruption for this, but quite often they'll have two of them, so you can like cleanse one and then also roar one. Then you can get away alive quite easily usually. So playing Guardian this season, I say, is pretty much always the move. Resto can be nice if you feel like you can kite and get like a lot of value out of Vortex and Swiftmend. Resto could be nice, but very often you can just be spending time in bear form. A lot of than having the regen and just the reduced damage taken is super good. On the 35 row, we have Mighty Bash, Master Root, and Heart of the Wild. Bash is usually the move, even though it got nerfed since BFA. It's 1 minute CD, 4 second stun. It's pretty good for setting up polymorphs, traps, whatever it might be. But then we also have Master Root, which is quite nice into Beam Hunters, as you're going to be facing a lot of Beastmaster Hunters this season, as they're really strong. Playing Master Root can be super nice to kind of just kite away and live that way, and actually get away from the pets. Heart of the Wild, I don't know. It's okay. You can play it sometimes if you really want the increased healing, but it's not really the best option almost always. Usually Bash or Master Root, but mainly Bash. On the 40 row now, it's pretty interesting. Okay, so here we have Soul the Forest, which is pretty much always the move in my opinion. You can play Savator, especially if you want to get some huge bites. Savator could be nice, but I just find it kind of clunky to maintain. So wouldn't really go Savator usually, but if you want to achieve some huge bites, you could do Savator and Bloodhounds, and then also with 1 minute Convoke, you do some massive bites. But yeah, Soul of Forest for the energy regen and also just the increased damage on finishing moves is super strong. Incarn can be nice in like very short games. Having the extra stealth can be nice, so like maybe against some double DPS teams. But in general, I'd say play Soul of Forest usually. On the 45 row, we have Brutal Slash, Primal Wrath, and Scent of Blood. Slash here is always the best one for Knife of PP and any Feral PP really. That's just like a really nice comp point generator. Cheap, only costs 25 energy compared to 40 on Shred. So yeah, it's very good. And then on the 50 row, so only recently with the new build, which is the 1 minute Convoke, I thought Bloodhounds to be super nice for some insane bites in Convoke. This mixed with, Grove, your conduits, and everything, you can get some like 25k to like 30k bites, which is huge. But in general, I'd say Frenzy is all super nice. So the difference on like these two playstyles, which I'll talk about more later in the video as well. If you play Bloodhound's gonna play more around just like your Convoke, and then get huge Convokes, and also like do big rips and big bites between. But with Frenzy, you kind of get one more go with like a main Frenzy bite between the two Convokes, like your opener and the second one, which is quite nice as well. But yeah, talk about like rotation and these two more later in the video. And now on to Honor Talents. Alright, so now on to the Honor Talents. So in Hyper 1, we got a new one called Wicked Claws. This one is a healing reduction. It stacks up 2 times, so 10 times 2, which is 20%, and then it also applies on Rake and Rip. This one's super good, and you pretty much always want to play it unless your team can do the healing reduction for you, like a warrior or a hunter, for example. So this one you pretty much always want to play unless your team can do the effect for you. Also, leader pack, I'd say you pretty much always want to use as well as Knife A, as crit is huge for Knife A. As if you crit a huge bite, then it can be game-changing. So having 5% more crit perma is nice, and the healing is there too, but it's not that huge. But yeah, the crit is massive for you and your team. On the third choice, that's kind of where we're going to be changing a lot. So against any melee team, like a double melee in 3s, or just like a healer melee in 2s, you pretty much always want to play with Thorns. As it's super nice for damage, or just to deter the enemy off you when you don't want it to hit you. Against casters, you can play like Strength or Wild very often for the crazy off heals on regrowth. But then we also have Savage Momentum, which is also quite nice for the CD reduction. This is also a good option. We also do have Ferocious Wound, which is quite nice as well for the HP reduction. This one got nerfed since last patch, or since last season, I mean. But it's still quite good. And not a bad option. But usually against melees, I'd play this. And against casters, I'd play this. If you feel like very safe and you feel like you don't need the heals from strength against like a caster team, maybe like a, I don't know, a mage or warlock or whatever, you can definitely play wound as well, like this. Or if you do have a hunter or a warrior on your team, or some class that has healing reduction, you can also play, for example, like this or this, depending on if you're facing casters or melees. But yeah, those are talents, and now on to the next part of the video. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the biggest change to Knife A, which is the new legendary called Celestial Spirits. This one changes a lot because before, as Knife A, you would kind of hold Convoke the whole game, and then just wait till people trinkets and stuff, and then kind of find maybe a finisher 2-3 minutes into the game, and then take them out. But now, with the 1 minute Convoke, it's more of something we're going to use almost off cooldown to get the most value out of our Grove Invigoration as well. And then also, once we get Bond of Hearts, it's going to be super good as well for the double benefit on our best Soulbinds off the legendary. So yeah, it's a 1 minute cooldown, 12 abilities over 3 seconds. It got buffed right before it came out. So it's pretty much like a full Convoke, 3, out of 4 seconds from what it is without the legendary on a 2 minute cooldown. So yeah, it's very, very strong, has insane kill potential, and it can pretty much like one-shot anyone in a full Convoke now. So yeah, it's huge, it's huge. So now onto the Soulbinds we're going to use with this legendary, and also our Conduits. So we're going Nia. Usually, I think Karain could be good with this as well. But I do think Nia is the winner overall out of these 3. Because Grove is so insane, especially with the uptime you have on it with this legendary. Because you're going to proc Grove 16 stacks every minute for 30 seconds. Which is a lot of mastery and HP uptime. So it's definitely really good. So we're going to go down with Taster Blood. Super nice for the increased bite damage. Go down this side. For the 1 finesse, I'd say go Tireless Pursuit. Super nice for kiting and healing. And it's quite nice to have. These don't matter at all for PP. And then we have Well-Honed Instincts. It got nerfed by 50%, but it's still really strong. And super nice. So definitely say you want to play this one. And then for the Conflicts of Elements, which is massive. Every minute, can get some huge bites with this. And 21% damage in 200 eye level is huge. And especially if we get this in, I don't know, like 252, I think it is. It could be insane. And then we're going down here. So for the third potency, when you get Carnivore's Instincts, super good for the extra fear damage. And Convoke will also use Fear for it usually, like this. If I use Convoke now, it's going to use Fury. So we get crazy uptime on Fury with Convoke now as well. As you can use it in Convoke, but then also do it off Convoke, like this. And then we're going down on the left side here because we want to get double endurance as well as Knife A. So we're going for Cold Shot. Quite nice for the movement speed when you crit. It's not bad, but the main thing is getting the second endurance, which we're going to go Innate Resolve. So yeah, we're going to play with Taster Blood, Tireless Pursuit, Well-Honed Instincts, Conflicts, Carnivorous Instincts, and Innate Resolve. And then when we get Renown 55, we're going to get Bond of Hearts, which is also super good, and can read the last part. If any of the affected allies are of another covenant, redirect Anima's mastery and maximum health effects are increased by 50% for 5 seconds. Which means when you Convoke, if you have someone close to you that's of a different covenant, the mastery from Grove, you see it now, is going to be insane. And you can probably get up to like 70 to 80% mastery in the Convoke, which will make the bites even bigger. But yeah, so those are the Soulbinds and Conduits for Knife A. And now we're gonna move on to like the opener and rotation, and just kind of, you know, putting everything together and min-maxing our damage and everything like this. So let's go. Alright, so now onto the stat prio for Knife of Eldred in 9.1. This is going to be Verse, Mastery, Crit, and then Haste. The recent Versus first is because it makes it more tanky, increases damage, and also healing done, which is super nice. Mastery second increases your bite damage and bleed damage. And then we have Crit on third, because if you crit your bites, especially in Convoke, you can definitely just win games off like 1 or 2 bites, so it's huge. So, and then third, we have Haste. Haste is like it's pretty much a dead stat for Knife right now. You're gonna get some Haste on your weapon now if you buy the PP weapon, which is fine. But I wouldn't go looking for more Haste than you just get from the weapon, really. So I'd suggest just kind of buying every Verse Masterpiece you can. Buy it. The pieces where we can't get Verse Mastery, go for Crit Mastery. No, Crit Verse. And yeah. You're gonna be fine. For trinkets, I'd say you should play Badge Medallion as a badge. Lines up nicely with the one with the Convoke. So every Convoke you have Badge, which is super good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for sets. Alright, so now onto the like opener / rotation part of the guide. So here it depends a bit on if you're playing with Bloodhounds or Feral Frenzy, but it's very similar anyways. Basically, with BT, you're just gonna try proc BT as much as possible. And then like do it on your rips and before the Convokes as well. But quite often Convoke is going to proc it for you, so super good. So unlike an opener, you can like just Ray Convoke and then it's going to proc BT for you very often, and then you get some huge bites in the opener. Well, with Frenzy, you can have some more on-demand comp points for bite or even a maim if you want to. But I do think that like Bloodhounds has the most value now, because it makes Convoke even more deadly. And it's super nice also for the rip damage like in between goes, and just bites in general as well. But yeah, so like the opener is gonna be usually just like Ray Convoke. Make sure you have Badge. You can badge every Convoke because it's a minute CD, and then with 1 minute Convoke, it's perfect. On these dummies will probably tank, you know, some Moonfires here because there's so many, so just ignore that part. But yeah. So basically, we're going to open up, just Ray Convoke to start, like this. Ray Convoke. Proc BT here in the Convoke actually was super nice. And then now we're just going to rip and just like maintain these bleeds here. You could actually do a BT rip, which I didn't do right now, but yeah, get the point. And as you have like probably 15 seconds left on the CD of your Fury, then you want to Berserk. Just keep damage going. And as the Sundial comes off again, you can just do a maim again. Like this. Maim. Just keep biting with Berserk. And that's like a really strong opener. And like the second go. Of course, usually in Arena, the enemies can do a go on you as well. So like maybe we gotta go bear form and like kite away, whatever. But yeah. And then we have Convoke coming back up again. And then it's kind of like the same thing. Just maintain bleeds. And look for the Convoke goes. What's really, really important for Convoke is that you kind of get some form of cross-CC. For example, your Holy Priest can like Chast's Fair, or your Hunter can Trap, or like work in maybe Stormbolt. Just make sure you have like some form of cross-CC so people can't just kick you. So they have to trade a trinket or like a bubble or something big to stop you from getting a full Convoke. That is pretty much the key with Convoke, you know? Because if you're just Convoking like randomly, people will stop you and just kick you. And the value you get is going to be quite low. But yeah, do remember too that when you play Grove, like the uptime on a Grove with Convoke, I'll show you now. Like this buff is huge for the mastery increase, you know? 60% mastery here. So Convoke is quite nice. Even though you don't kill, you're going to get like more mastery up, which is good. But yeah, make sure with every Convoke, you're forcing like a trinket, a bubble, or something huge. But yeah, now I'm going to show you with like Feral Frenzy and just kind of how I play with Frenzy. Alright, so now with the same thing, but with Feral Frenzy. So we're still playing with 1 minute Convoke Force, so most kills will still be with Convoke. But Feral Frenzy does give you kind of one more go, with like a bite, with like a maim, Frenzy, and Fury go, which is quite nice. But usually, you still want to use your Convoke in the opener, with like Ray Convoke, and then just kind of maintain bleeds, and then they can do a go afterwards with your Feral Frenzy and Fury and a maim. So let's say we're going to open up. Rake, Convoke, for example, into Rip. Start maintaining bleeds now. And at this point, of course, like the enemy might do a go on you or whatever, but yeah, just try and maintain bleeds. And as your Fury is like coming off CD again, we can use Berserk now. For example, right now, keep maintaining bleeds. And then as the second Sunday is come back up and your Fury, you can go for a Maim, Feral Frenzy, Bite, Shred, 4-count Bite, for example, and just keep pumping like this. And then in 20 seconds, which is your third stun, you're going to have Convoke again, which is super good. Sometimes Convoke the Opener might not be the move. For example, if against like a Rest Druid, for example, that can just roar you instantly. Or some kind of stealth that's going to stop your Convoke the second you open, then it might not be the move. But it can still be, if you feel like you're going to like bait a trinket by doing it, you can do it. But yeah. So if you're not going to Convoke the Opener, let's say versus, let's say Druid Warrior, where you're not going to go for the Rake Convoke on the Warrior sometimes, you can just do an opener with, let's just leave combat there. You just do an opener with like Rake, Rip, Fury, Frenzy, Bite, for example. Now 5 comp points, which is not going to be the case if you open, but yeah. So like Rake, Rip, Fury, Feral Frenzy, and then Bite. You can slash whatever. Keep it going. Like this opener could be decent if you're gonna get instantly Rake stunned, or instantly stopped by, for example, a Druid or like a Rogue or anything. But yeah, in general, still really similar with like Frenzy and BT, and both are nice options. But with the BT, get some more insane bites, which can just take the enemy off guard by pretty much one-shotting them. But yeah, now onto some like more tips and tricks, and then that's it pretty much. Alright, so before I end the guide now, quickly want to talk about like tips and tricks for Convoke. As we all know, if you just Convoke like randomly, or like you make it too obvious, you're just going to get like kicked instantly and it's going to be really bad. So make sure you're always getting cross the scene, like locking the enemy team down before you actually send the Convoke, or like baiting them into a bad position behind like Pillar, for example, where you can just Convoke them alone as well. This is done with like Fairs, Traps, Stuns, whatever it might be, Roots even. For example, against a Hunter, you can root the pets, mass root, and then make Convoke. There's many ways to do it, but just make sure you're like getting some form of cross the sea to like lock them down, and then Convoke is going to be way better than if you're just randomly sending it and just getting kicked instantly. Sometimes, you know, like you might want to send it. If there's like no good go in sight, you just do it and try get some cooldowns and some value. But yeah. In general, just make sure you're like actually like locking the team down, and you're gonna gain a lot of rating playing Convoke. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the guide. See you guys in my stream or the next video. Peace out.